What's going on, everyone? My name is Jasmine. On today's episode of The Slain Project, we're going to be talking about the 2013 murder of 21-year-old Hanna Harris. And this case was solved by her mother. She had to go and investigate her disappearance and even bring a prime suspect to the police station for an interview. And although this case is technically solved, her killers did not get the time that they deserved. And if you would like to see more videos on missing and murdered Indigenous people, click that subscribe button and the notification bell. Now let's get right into it.
Hanna Deanne Harris was born on May 5, 1992, to her parents Malinda Harris and Sam Long. Her mother is Northern Cheyenne and her father is Lakota from the Pine Ridge Reservation. Her parents split up and she lived with her mom Malinda, but went to Pine Ridge to visit her dad whenever she had the time to. Hanna's nickname was Hanna Bear, and she was very much loved by her family. They were always there to help and support her. She was especially close to her sister Rose and cousin Marty. Hanna graduated from Billings West High School in 2010, and soon after she moved in with her boyfriend who lived in Billings. She soon became pregnant and gave birth to her son Jeremiah on August 28, 2012. She loved him with her whole heart and would do anything for him. But unfortunately, things did not work out with Jeremiah's dad, so she moved back home to Lame Deer on the Northern Cheyenne Res. She was living with her mom Malinda again. It has been stated that Jeremiah was 10 months old at the time and he was still being breastfed, so this would have been around May or June of 2013. Hanna began to settle back into Lame Deer with her friends and family. She spoke on the phone with her sister Rose on July 2, 2013. The two were catching up on the phone and spoke about how Jeremiah was doing. Rose lived in Billings and had just recently gotten married. Rose was planning on having her wedding reception in Lame Deer on Friday, July 5th, to kick off the powwow weekend that is always around the 4th of July. It was perfect because most of their family would be around town for the powwow. But the next day, on Wednesday, July 3rd, things would start to go south for Hanna. Her mother, Malinda, said that she last saw Hanna at about 5:30 p.m. Malinda worked a very early shift and she wanted to lay down and nap, so Hanna took her son to her uncle's house so Malinda could sleep. Hanna was supposed to be back later to go to the fireworks show with her mom, but she never came back. Hanna left her son in the care of her uncle and went to the fireworks show by herself. She ran into her cousin Marty there. Marty said that Hanna was having fun dancing and was having some drinks at the celebration as well. Marty said that at about 11 p.m. after the fireworks show, she tried to get Hanna's keys from her but was not successful. Marty eventually departed at about 11:55 p.m. Hanna's Aunt Myra also seen her at the celebration and told her to be careful, and she said she would. But Hanna did not make it home to Jeremiah that night and would never be seen alive by her family again. On Thursday, July 4th, 2013, Hanna's mother Malinda started her early morning shift at the gas station in Lame Deer at 5 a.m. The first person to walk through the door told her that they had seen Hanna's car on the side of the road with a flat tire. Her car, a 2006 Chevy Cavalier, was located a few miles west of Lame Deer on Muddy Creek Road and Highway 212. Malinda had not heard anything from Hanna, and she was stuck at work, so she began to ask everyone who came in if they had seen her daughter. She also posted on social media asking for information about Hanna's last known whereabouts. Malinda did not get any solid information and began to worry. When a Bureau of Indian Affairs officer, or BIA for short, came into the store later that day, Malinda asked if she could file a missing persons report. She explained that Hanna's son, who was being watched by Hanna's uncle, was still being breastfed and not taking his bottle. Without taking her urgency into consideration, the officer said that she would have to wait 72 hours to file a report. In the meantime, Malinda got on Facebook and asked for donations of breast milk to feed the baby, and 3 people graciously donated. Hanna's sister Rose arrived into town from Billings for her wedding reception and for the powwow celebration during the weekend. Rose said that she had an unexplained feeling of dread as she arrived on the reservation, something that she did not understand at the time. Rose had made plans with Hanna to watch her nephew when she arrived in Lame Deer to spend time with him, but Hanna was nowhere to be found. By this time, all of Hanna's family and friends were trying to locate her. When Malinda got off work that day, she and Rose went to the location of Hanna's car. It was near a group of mobile home trailers known as the Muddy Cluster. There was no sign of Hanna, and besides the flat tire, the only thing out of the ordinary was some red dirt on the tires. The next day, on Friday, July 5th, Rose had her wedding reception, and what was supposed to be a day filled with joy was met with sadness and the confirmed realization that something was terribly wrong. Hanna had been missing for 36 hours at this point. Her mom and sister knew that Hanna would never have missed this celebration. They immediately went to the BIA police station to ask to file a missing persons report again. There was confusion at the police station because they did not know who was going to be in charge of the case, them or the FBI. Malinda was also told that the family could conduct their own searches because the BIA had limited officers available because of the busy weekend in Lame Deer. Rosebud County Sheriff Alan Fulton would later say that he reached out to the BIA and offered his assistance, but they declined his offer. The reservation was not in his jurisdiction, so his hands were tied. The BIA also tried to downplay the situation by saying that Hanna was 21 and was probably just out partying for the holiday weekend and was scared to come home or call. They said that if she did not show up by Monday, they would get involved. The family still were asking everyone they knew if they had seen Hanna. They had even asked her ex-boyfriend, who she recently broke up with, if he knew where she was. He said he had not heard from her either, and that he was in South Dakota the night she disappeared. The family was really scared at this point, but they gathered their strength and began searching again on Saturday, July 6th. They drove around Lame Deer asking if anyone had seen Hanna after the fireworks show. They then got a tip that Hanna was last seen about 1:30 a.m. on July 4th, just about an hour and a half after she was last seen at the fireworks show. The tipster said that she was at a place called Jimtown Bar and Casino, which is only about 5 miles north of Lame Deer. It is a very popular spot with the locals. The bar and casino also has a restaurant, they host many tournaments, and sell alcohol to go. The Northern Cheyenne Reservation is dry, meaning that alcohol cannot be legally bought or sold on the reservation. Jimtown Bar is located just outside the border of the reservation, so it seems like, at least to me, that one of the main reasons this place is located here is to serve alcohol to the residents of the dry reservation. Hanna was seen at the bar with 41-year-old Eugenia Rowland, who goes by the nickname Gina, and her 34-year-old boyfriend named Garrett Wada. Hanna knew Gina because she went to school with her kids. Shortly before she disappeared, Hanna brought Gina to a Father's Day barbecue hosted by her family. They were quite surprised she was hanging out with Gina because she was much older, and Gina and Garrett were known as drifters in the community. Malinda went to the bar and asked the owner to review his cameras, and they seen Hanna's car. Garrett was also seen walking out of the bar and getting into Hanna's car. After this, Malinda went looking for the couple. She found and confronted Gina at the local grocery store. Gina said she had no idea that Hanna did not come home after her night out at the fireworks show. Malinda then drove Gina to the police station for an interview because she was the last person known to be with her daughter. Gina said she had no idea where Hanna could be. She said they were all partying at an abandoned trailer that belonged to Garrett's aunt. And then Hanna left the trailer with an unknown man. Gina also said that she had blacked out from drinking all night and does not really remember what all happened. Gina then said she was surprised and concerned when she woke up the next morning and saw Hanna's car on the side of the road. But these were part of many lies that the couple told to cover up their involvement in Hanna's disappearance and murder. It was discovered that Gina and Garrett had the keys to Hanna's car. I am not sure if they gave a reason why they had these keys, but it is very suspicious. Malinda then insisted that the police go to the location of Hanna's car, which was still parked alongside the highway. Hanna's mom, sister, and baby drove to the location with Gina, and the police followed them. Malinda suspected Gina knew more than she said, but she tolerated her for the time being. She said Gina was playing with Hanna's son in the backseat of the car on the drive there. Malinda also noted that she had a cut on her hand. When they arrived, the police looked over the car, and without searching it said that nothing seemed suspicious. They hopped in their police car and drove away. Malinda and Rose braced themselves and opened the trunk of the car. They were relieved that Hanna was not in there, but the mystery continued. They were not going to give up until they discovered the truth, whether it was good or bad. On Sunday, July 7th, the family coordinated a search party with about 100 people. They focused around the area of the car and the abandoned trailer. They were also trying to locate any red dirt that looked the same as what was on Hanna's tires. Gina and Garrett also showed up to help search. They soon angered Hanna's family by trying to convince the search party to move west of Muddy Creek. The couple was told that they were not welcome and they were asked to leave. There was a rainstorm that day and the search was called off that evening. Malinda did not know what to do, so she called the FBI. She would later say that they seemed more concerned than the BIA was, and they agreed to join the search on Monday, July 8th. The BIA also showed up like they said they would, but the FBI had control of the situation. But the BIA should have had more concern for Hanna's whereabouts before Monday. At this point, Hanna's disappearance was going into the 5th day. The search party focused on the same search area near the car and trailer. The search went on for hours, but some discoveries kept the search crew going. First, one of Hanna's Nike shoes was found about 50 yards from one of the trailers. This shoe was confirmed to be Hanna's by her sister Rose. It has also been stated that Hanna was also wearing some sort of sash that night, and it was also found nearby. Then around midnight on July 8th, headed into July 9th, searchers discovered her body. She was 50 yards from a dirt road and about a quarter mile from the rodeo grounds in Lame Deer. Hanna was found face down. Her pants and underwear were pushed down her legs, and her shirt and bra were pushed up. She was immediately identified by her tattoos. The previous day, Hanna's family was searching in this area and had turned around only about 200 yards away from where her body was found. The temperatures rose around 100 degrees when she was missing, and her body was badly decomposed. Insects had also feasted on her remains, so by the time she was discovered, there was no biological evidence left behind. And because of this, her cause of death could never be determined. If the BIA would have done their sworn duties, perhaps Hanna would have been found sooner and biological evidence could have been recovered. It also has been stated that positional asphyxia could not be eliminated as a cause of death. This cause of death is more common in small infants and occurs most often from being in a car seat too long. Their necks bend and reduces their oxygen supply when they sleep. This detail bothers me. It seems as if it was implied that Hanna could have passed out in an awkward position and died. But the focus soon shifted to Gina and Garrett because they were the last to be seen with Hanna, and they also had her car keys. After being asked to leave the search efforts for Hanna, Garrett and Gina fled the area. Garrett went to Wyoming on the Wind River Reservation to visit family. Gina split up from Garrett and went to South Dakota where she was from. There was no solid evidence to charge them with anything. 8 months later, Gina was in Rapid City, South Dakota, and was drinking one night with her former sister-in-law. She then told her what really happened the night Hanna was murdered. And thankfully, this woman stepped up and called the FBI. The pair were eventually arrested, Garrett on charges of first-degree murder and aggravated sexual abuse. Gina was picked up for second-degree murder. Court records would later reveal what Gina told her sister-in-law, and that Hanna was also seen by a surveillance camera at the gas station where her mom worked at. After leaving the bar in Jimtown, Hanna stopped for gas a little after 1:30 a.m. on July 4th, 2013. She was with the couple. Gina was in the front seat and Garrett was in the back seat. They then headed to the trailers to continue drinking. Gina would later say that she passed out and awoke to someone screaming. When she went to see what was happening, she saw Garrett raping Hanna. Gina said she tried to help, but Hanna hit her and this made her mad, so she and Garrett started to beat her to death. They then wrapped her in a sheet and drug her outside. I am going to presume that this is when Gina and Garrett ditched Hanna's car on the side of the road and made her tire flat. But remember, when her mom started work at 5 a.m., someone came in and said that they had seen Hanna's car on the side of the road. So if they were last seen on camera at the gas station at about 1:30 a.m. and then went to the trailers right after, whatever went down with Hanna had to begin almost right away after arriving at the trailer. To me, it seems like Garrett was already planning on assaulting Hanna before they got there. As this case went on in court, Garrett denied killing Hanna and claimed that he passed out, and when he woke up, Hanna was already dead. He claimed that a fight broke out between Gina and Hanna, resulting in her death. Garrett would later admit to using a car that belonged to Gina's son on July 5th to move Hanna's body. This detail was confirmed when Hanna's DNA was found in the back seat of this car. The son would say that when the car was returned to him, there was a very strong odor coming from it. July 5th is also the same day that Rose had her wedding reception and when the family knew that something bad had happened to Hanna. There was only circumstantial evidence that Hanna was raped because of the way her clothing was positioned, but this detail seems to back up Gina's confession to her sister-in-law. Because there was no biological evidence or cause of death, Garrett was offered a plea deal, and the charges of murder and aggravated sexual abuse would be dropped. But he was obligated to testify against Gina if she went to trial and say that he knew that she killed Hanna. In exchange, he pleaded guilty to being an accessory after the fact. He was sentenced to 10 years in prison and 3 years of supervised release. If he had denied this plea, the original charges against him would have been refiled. Gina was planning on going to trial, but after she learned of Garrett's proposed plea deal, she put in a guilty plea for second-degree murder. It seems as if she was protecting Garrett by doing this, by not jeopardizing his plea deal. She was sentenced to 22 years in prison and is still serving her sentence. Garrett was eventually released from prison, but he died on November 7, 2022, at age 43 in Billings, Montana. Hanna Harris's family have become strong advocates in the violence against Native women. They have held numerous rallies, marches, and shared Hanna's story and details of the court investigation into her disappearance, many times at MMIW events and with government officials. In 2017, the United States government honored Hanna by recognizing May 5th, which is Hanna's birthday, as a National Day of Awareness for Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women and Girls, better known as MMIW Day across the U.S. and Canada. In 2019, after a very long legislative battle, the state of Montana passed Hanna's Act, which will help aid in the investigations of missing people and provide resources for the families of the missing. Hanna's family are now raising her son Jeremiah and are providing a loving home for him. She was laid to rest next to her grandfather at her family's cemetery behind her grandmother Clara's house. Hanna Harris will never be forgotten and will continue to live on in spirit.
Thank you so much for watching today's video. If you knew Hanna, please share any memories of her, and I will see you in my next video.